Good evening. This is Qtv News. I am Maria Masani, and thanks for joining us. First, the main local, international, and sports news headlines. At a stop on his Meet the People tour, President Barrow announces significant assistance for school dropouts who wish to return to education. An infamous so-called independent witness, who was a witness for the hire, including during the 2006 spoiled coup, appeared before the TRRC on Tuesday to narrate his role as a so-called independent witness for the state. Over 30 communities across URR gathered in Sutukuba village in Wuli to publicly declare their wills and intention to abandon harmful traditional and social practices. 2 people are in custody following the discovery of a large number of forged banknotes. And we hear about an unusual deployment for members of the armed forces where they were summoned to deal with some hippos behaving badly. In international news, just days before the incumbent is announced as the victor in the country's presidential election, a major city in the Central African Republic has been seized by rebel forces. In sports news, a participant tells us about what she described as a successful seminar on women in sport. Those were the main headlines, and now the local news in detail. Stay with us. President Barrow has announced a new education program for dropouts to offer them a second educational opportunity. He made the revelation on Monday in Bundung. Aliu Sise reports.
People of the densely populated Bundung and surroundings turned out in numbers to welcome the president and have a dialogue with him about their concerns. Addressing the crowd, President Barrow expressed pride and happiness for the rousing welcome given him, which he believes is a manifestation that the people of Bundung and surroundings are, as he puts it, in his boss. He is optimistic about the future of the country, saying no amount of undermining and fighting will stop the country moving. On the concerns raised, President Barrow said government has introduced a second chance education program for school dropouts. He said the program is free and students will be allocated stipends to motivate them. He urges those interested to visit the regional education directorates to register and get enrolled.
Dati dula foi be jila dame abe mo free le andu manda wo fananto de pour que mari ñol encourage ni lafta mecho karan abe je fanan.
On roads, he said his government intends to develop the roads in Serekunda as in Banjul. But before that, he announced that the London Corner Road, Bundung Road, Joko Westfield Iwo Town Road, and other roads are part of the urban roads to be constructed as part of the OIC projects. The people appealed for a mango processing and packaging factory to reduce the number of spoiled mangoes. They also raised concerns over the poor roads within the Counterfeit municipality and the need for more standard markets for women vendors. The elders of Serekunda want the expansion of the Serekunda Mosque located at the Serekunda Market. The Bundung London Corner Canal, they say, need to be rehabilitated. On sports, there is a need to develop the Mboyo football field. The people informed the president that London Corner lacks a health center. They are against the transformation of the Buba zone into a market and ask for the removal of the market there, as it is the only reserve land left for public sporting activities. The people of Abuko said they lack a cemetery and asked for government's intervention to allocate reserve land. On water, the people complain about the low water pressure resulting in late-night struggle for water. On agriculture, they also want the reserve land in Latrikunda Piccadilly to be used as a women's garden. A skill center is a necessity for the school dropouts in the area. Umar A. Jallo, alias OJ, a veteran politician and Barrow's former agriculture minister, said President Barrow represents peace and development. According to him, whoever wants the development of the country should rally behind the current president and the government. He urged people to promote peace and stability, without which nothing is achieved. OJ describes President Barrow as a truthful leader who believes in democracy and rule of law.
Man Yaya Jammeh jàppana ma ñaar fukki yoon ak ñaar dama dee wax ci newspaper mbaa ci radio ma fanaan mile 2 tey gaa yaa ngi saaga président Adama Barrow di ko xas di ko wax lu ko neex waxut leen dara defut leen dara mu ngi leen bàyyi seen sago bàyyi leen seen jàmm loolu la Gambia bëggoon am nañ ko tey.
He informed the health minister that there is a need to expand the Serekunda Health Center as some part of the market forms part of the health center, which was acquired during the PPP government. The people of his party, the PPP, he added, are thankful to the president for the honor and respect accorded the late Sadauda Kairaba Jawara. He assured him of their support. Musa Drame, last minister, said the physical planning, NDMA and NRA have conducted a feasibility study to address the London Corner water canal ahead of the next rainy season. Under the OIC hosting projects, he said there is a water expansion project that will address the water issues in the area. He promised the people that KMC will be engaged on the issue of the market at the buffer zone and the need for a market at Fajekunda. Hamad Nkeba, Minister of Tourism, encouraged Gambians to promote peace and reconciliation, saying Gambia is a country too small for instability. Reporting for Qtv News, I am Alu Sise.
An infamous so-called independent witness during the 2006 World Cup on Tuesday appeared before the TRRC to narrate his role as a so-called independent witness for the state. Babulum have been adversely mentioned by many witnesses for having served as an independent witness for the state in cases he knew nothing about. Babukarsi reports.
Babulum began his testimony with his background information and his profession before going to narrate how he became an independent witness in the failed Ndurcham-led coup. The witness said he received a call from a childhood friend in March of 2006 who told him that some individuals had been arrested for plotting a coup and that he was wanted to come and be an independent witness, which he agreed to do. The witness said he came to the NIA headquarters in the morning and the accused were brought forward in turn to make their statements in his presence.
Lamin Cham moko introduce ak man.
Lamin Cham did the introduction.
Eko ki Babulum la tura.
And told him this guy is called Babulum.
Bara la dika.
And he's from Bara.
Video operator la.
And he's a video operator.
Momo ñew pour sédé né.
He has come to witness that.
Fi nga joxe sa statement.
Here where you are going to be giving your statement.
En forcé wala.
That no one has forced you.
En huhatadula.
No one has made things difficult for you.
Mom lola ñew pour sédé.
And that is what he's come here to witness.
Mune nanguna.
And he said that he has accepted.
The witness said he was also invited when the accused were made to sit in front of the cameras to beg for mercy from the then president. Babulum said he could not recall how many times he went to the NIA to serve as an independent witness. He told the commission that he only served as an independent witness for 6 accused persons, but the lead counsel put it to him that he has served as an independent witness without having knowledge of any of the crimes the arrested persons were accused of.
You, the independent witness for Hamadi Sow, you are also the independent witness for Omar Fall.
Omar Fall tamit sédé nga ko.
Omar Fall mun na remember man ko soga remember ni mota mané suñ démé true record ci rek su joxé sen touri man na muna fataleku.
I'm just remembering him now, and that's why I said if we go through the records I will be able to recall.
Mr. Witness, you cannot recall all of them because there were too many.
Sédé bi do muna fataleku ñep na dañ bari torop.
Waaw lolu mun na am
because you had a deal with the state to be the person who would do the dirty job for the state by validating these confessions that were beaten out of these witnesses.
After denying that he served as an independent witness for more than 6 people, the investigators came to find out that Babulum had signed 32 statements relating to 12 individuals, as he was used by the then government as an allegedly expert independent witness. After a long testimony by the witness, he finally submitted and admitted to some of the allegations against him.
You know that all those cases would have crumbled but for your testimony?
Te xam nga ne case yoyu nonu yeb ni kon mënon na daxu su fekkone yo joxewlo won sédé yoyu.
Suma xamone suma joxe suma ki elfinaka suma nekké independent witness ci lolu non lay mujjé ni kon du ma ci bokka.
If I had known that my involvement as an independent witness would lead to these things happening the way they happened, I wouldn't have gotten myself into it.
The witness said after acting as a state witness for all the cases he was involved in, he informed the commission that the office of the DPP paid him $2,500. Babu Karsi, QTV News.
On Wednesday, the 30th of December, over 30 Tustan intervened communities across URR gathered in Sutukoba village in the Woolly East District to Upper River region to publicly declare their wills and intention to abandon harmful traditional and social practices. This story by Fodimane and narrated by Omar P. Jallo.
On Tuesday, the 29th of December, a panel discussion was conducted between journalists and the community of Sare Sandugu before the public declaration was made the following day in Sutukova village. On that day, the communities in URR publicly declared their intention to abandon harmful practices such as child marriage and female genital mutilation after the 3-year community empowerment program with Touchdown. This declaration statement was made in English, Fula and Mandinka languages respectively in a gathering in Sutukoba village. According to Touchdown, the community empowerment program encourages communities to define and fulfill their own vision on key issues such as education, health, governance, economic growth, and environment. The program also includes leadership development through community management committees, CMCs. As the program is phased out in URR and will now be implemented in CRR, the Touchdown National Coordinator Idrissa Keita says he is optimistic that the atmosphere will remain the same despite the further changes in environment.
Touchdown, we said community empowerment program, community-led sustainable development, change from within the people. So we expect that it will be very participatory. That is one of our expectations, especially from the governors level, from the TAC level, from district level, from ward levels. And already, I can tell you 100% that we have that support.
Mr. Keita also urges the communities in URR to provide more effective support to help discourage these practices in friendly communities.
Touchdown, when we say we phase out from a community, it means there will no more be a facilitator to conduct the classes. There will no more be a supervisor to conduct monthly supervision and center monitoring. But the knowledge and skills that are in the community, the day we close the center, finally, that is the beginning of their community-led actions.
For the Danjo, the chairman of Basse Area Council, thanked and congratulated Touchdown for their efforts and urges the communities to not only declare their intention, but to do as they have declared.
Definitely, Touchdown need to be commended very well for their laudable efforts that they have been carrying out here in URL for the past, I can say for the past 10 years, because they've been here since 2009. My advice to the Ngansin Bas is for them to drop their knives, to drop their razor blades, because we've seen the problem that we have been encountering here. We've seen a lot of maternal deaths. We've seen a lot of complications during pregnancy or during delivery. So we are please appealing to the Ngansin Bas to hold on to their promise and drop the knives, drop their razor blades.
Touchdown, whose mission is to support communities to develop and achieve their vision for the future and inspire large-scale movement leading to dignity for all, will now be implementing the community empowerment program to over 60 communities in CRR over the next 3 years. Reporting for QTV News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
We will take a short break, and still to come we have local and international news. Welcome back. 116,000 dollars of what are said to be forged banknotes have been recovered by the Gambia Police Force, and 2 suspects have been arrested, charged, and are to appear in court in connection with the matter. Lolly M. Kamara reports.
Amadou Jallo and Buba Nyangaraga are the main suspects currently in police custody, charged on the counts of purchasing forged banknotes. According to police PRO Laminjai, the 2 are currently charged and waiting to be brought before a court of law. He said there has been an increase in cases of this nature in recent times. He advises the public to be more vigilant.
We want to send us message is this. People who are traders in markets and bureaus and other places need to be vigilant. when you get into contact with money, especially fake banknotes, it's not easy to identify these things with your eyes, but you should be able to feel the texture, and the roughness of the money is not the same as the authentic notes. And some other features, as you can see, if you look closely at them, you will realize that the writings and other things are something that you can use to be able to understand that these are not authentic notes. Not only that also, but if you look at most of this money, they are all having the same serial number. If you look at the notes, they are all having the same serial number.
Piero Njai also states that, according to the suspects, they had 160,000 with them. However, the Gambia Police Force Fraud Department has so far recovered 160,000, and an outstanding balance still remains in the market, efficiently out in the streets.
People who have been trading with forged banknotes, and what they do is to go into the market with this money that you have seen in front of me. These are all fake banknotes. They go into the market and use this money to buy to buy items from retail shopkeepers. For example, with $200, they can buy something that is at $25, and then they will pick the change. Or maybe they go to a bureau and then change the money to something else, so that they will be able to retain the authentic notes and give away the fake notes. And like that, they are able to secure some authentic notes, meaning therefore, as at now, the police have recovered 116,000 from them. There is an outstanding amount of $44,000 which we believe might be circulating in the market, and so we definitely want the general public to assist the police in recovering these fake banknotes.
He finally urged the public to support the police by reporting cases of forged banknotes for immediate action.
Support the police in dealing with this menace, because this is definitely not helpful to the economy of the Gambia.
According to Njai, 27 cases of forged banknotes were registered in 2020, and this one tops the list as the highest amount recovered in a single instance. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
In an unusual deployment, Gambia Armed Forces personnel stationed at the Laminkota military camp and Gambia Navy outpost in Central River region were called upon on Saturday to chase away 3 wild hippopotami at the Janjamburi Laminkota ferry crossing point. Lolly M. Kamara has more.
According to reports, the hippos were attacking each other along the river and eventually showed up at the main crossing point, causing panic and also interrupting transport services and business activities across the crossing points. According to an Army press release, the command of the armed forces, upon receiving the information from the Director of Parks and Wildlife, instructing commanding officer of 2nd Infantry Battalion in Ferefenye, responsible for the area, Lieutenant Colonel Amadou Bojang and Captain Malik Boy, the officer commanding Laminkoto military post, to work with regional authorities for parks and wildlife to bring what was becoming a scary situation under control without having to cause harm to the creatures or people and their properties. Crowd of curious onlookers were beginning to flock to the area. The release adds that the security service personnel, together with regional authorities posted at the ferry crossing point, prevented access to the area by ensuring that the place was cleared of passengers and all unauthorized persons, goods as well as vehicles. They also ensured that all traffic along both riverbanks, both ferry and boats, were suspended, including preventing fishermen from operating, until the operation was successfully completed. In consideration of environmental and conservation issues, the officer commanding the military post also instructed his men not to shoot or try to kill the hippos. However, they used their ingenuity by adopting other methods, such as starting the engines of both the Navy boats on site and the ferry. The sounds of these engines proved enough to scare off the intruding animals, as all the hippos immediately left the area. It is good to note that the situation is under total control, as the soldiers were able to scare off the hippos without firing a shot. as killing the hippos was an option of last resort. For many, this was the first sighting of hippos, particularly when they briefly came ashore. The ferry services are now back to normal, as are the usual business activities along both sides of the riverbank. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
We will take another break, and still to come, international and sports news. In international news, an official from the country's UN mission says rebel forces have seized a southeastern city in Central African Republic, the country's fourth largest city, on Tuesday after accusing the government of holding a fraudulent election in December. A day later, the incumbent was declared the winner of the election. Lali M. Kamara has more.
According to reports, a rebel coalition has attacked several towns in recent weeks and currently controls 2/3 of the country. The rebels have so far accused and are holding the government accountable for holding what they claim was a fraudulent election on 27 December. The government denies all allegations of poll rigging. According to UN official, the rebels staged a dawn raid and were scattered everywhere in Bangassou as fighting continues in several parts of the city. Initial results of the election for president and parliamentary are expected on Monday. The former president, Francois Bozizé, has also been accused by authorities of having given support to the rebels to stage a coup, but he has denied the allegations. The Central African Republic is a resource-rich but deeply unstable country that has seen several coups since independence from France 60 years ago. Thousands of people in the landlocked country have died since 2012. And nearly a quarter of the population of 4.7 million have fled their homes. The International Criminal Court's chief prosecutor, Fatou Bensouda, had called for calm and restraint ahead of the elections, saying, and I quote, "Anyone who commits, orders, incites, encourages, or contributes in any other way to the commission of crimes would be liable for prosecution either by Bangui courts or by the ICC," quote ends. On Tuesday, it was announced that President Faustin Archange Touadéra has been re-elected after securing nearly 54% of the votes. The Electoral Commission said the results made a second-round run-off unnecessary. Former Prime Minister Anis George Pologeli finished a distant second with just 21% of the votes, while Martin Zegeli finished third with 7% of the votes. There were a total of 16 candidates running for president, including 3 women. Opposition candidates have said the election was riddled with massive irregularities. Those responsible for the capture of Bangassou are unlikely to be happy with the result. Reporting for QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
In sports news, a 2-day Women in Sports from Zone 2 seminar organized by Association of National Olympic Committees held in Guinea last week was described as a success by one of the most outstanding women in Gambian sports. Mamadou Gajaga has more.
After attending the seminar last week, Mariama Sow, one of the participants of the Women's in Sports Leadership Seminar, says the event was a success as it will help transform women's role in sports administration. Speaking on Q Sports, Mariama said women are empowered to take up leadership positions in the running of sports.
It was a very interactive and interesting sessions. We discussed a lot of issues, and these issues are basically going to be sent to the ANOCA, that is the National Olympic Committees in Africa, So they are going to look at these recommendations that we have given at the seminar, and then they will draw a policy with regards to it.
Despite being a strong advocate for women participation in sport, she challenged her counterparts to take academia seriously. She says women cannot be given leadership positions in sport without having the capacity to run those roles.
Sport women don't really involve in academia, and this is one of the challenges. Yes, in as much as we want women to participate or women to get involved in sport administration, we want competent women to be in those portfolios. You cannot just send someone just because the person is a woman to be the president of a certain association or a secretary general. We know the work involved. It has a lot of writing and also a lot of talking to do.
She urged government to take the lead role in empowering women in sports by investing in the development of sports. Some of the areas she emphasized are the upgrading of sports infrastructure to an international standard level and funding for teams.
The government should take it as their own. I think that is the first step that we have to look at. The government, sometimes it's as if the federation, the national federations owns the team. But the real thing is that if we travel outside, we carry the name, the Gambia. It's not any national federation name that we carry. So the government should really involve in sports. Sports should be a means of earning living. It shouldn't be just for passion. Well, people like me, is the passion that drives me in it. But then you have a lot of people that want to take it as a career. But the lack of encouragement and support from our officials is really discouraging.
Women in Gambian sports face socio-cultural and religious challenges. Some are married off early with the perception of their parents or guardians that sports is meant for men and not women. Mamudu Gajaga, QTV News.
Before we end this bulletin, let's take a quick look at our main stars. At a stop on his Meet the People tour, President Barrow announces significant assistance for school dropouts who wish to return to education. An infamous so-called independent witness who was a witness for hire, including during the 2006 World Cup, appeared before the TRRC on Tuesday to narrate his role as a so-called independent witness for the state. Over 30 communities across URR gathered in Sutukoba village in Wuli to publicly declare their wills and intention to abandon harmful traditional and social practices. 2 people are in custody following the discovery of a large number of forged banknotes. And we heard about an unusual deployment for members of the armed forces when they were summoned to deal with some hippos behaving badly. In international news, just days before the incumbent is announced as the victor in the country's presidential election, a major city in Central African Republic has been seized by rebel forces. In sports news, a participant tells us about what she describes as a successful seminar on women in sports. That's all we have for you in this edition of the QTV News. Do join us at 10 p.m. for another edition. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.